next Saturday, that's October the 24th, Brisbane, Australia. You can book your tickets in the Secretary's office or in Kerry Kane on 441919. Our next game here at McLaren Field is against Carlisle. That's on the 8th of November, the Freedom Trophy first round. And on the 1st of November, we travel on to Rochdale Hall. If you'd like to see something across the field, please contact me at the box club in front of the name. Down.
The last of the first round matches in the second division, 92-93, brings Oldham to McLaren Field to meet 4th place Bramley, where under the general managership, general factotumness of the ex-Great Britain coach Maurice Bamford. Oldham today will be looking at least to consolidate their position in the promotion slots on the top of the division, while Bramley will no doubt defend resolutely, but hopefully for Oldham not have enough in attack to make it count. The teams: first, Oldham. Number 1, Sean Tyrer. 2, Stuart Cocker. 3, Wally Gibson. 4, Eva Rapati. 5, Hugh Gums. 6, Richard Russell. 7, Steve Kerry. 8, Tiny Solomona. 9, David Stevenson. 10, Mark Shields. 11, Ian Sherratt. 12, Shane Tapia. 13, Mark Meadows. And subs, Ben Olsen and David Bradbury. The Bramley team: number 1, Darren Cohen. 2, Eddie Riddleston. 3, Kevin Bell. 4, Wayne Freeman. 5, Norman Francis. 6, Michael Twigg. 7, Steve Carroll. 8, Andy Marston. 9, Dean Blankley. 10, Chris Whitehead. 11, Sonny Wackaroo. 12, Kevin Rain. 13, Paddy Lyons. And subs, 14, Tony Hester. And 15, Steve Edmondson. Today's referee, Mr. Charlie Tidbull from Wakefield. A pleasant sunny day, although a bit chilly. What wind there is, probably just about in Bramley's favour. Oldham playing into the wind. And Mr. Tidball gets the game underway, and Steve Kerry puts boot to ball. Drop backwards by Wackaroo. Solomona penalised for high tackle. Richard Russell says, keep him down, Tiny. So Bramley through Steve Carroll. Still finds touch, but still in his 25. The soccer markings on the pitch you'll probably see at some point because Bradford Park Avenue play here. Bramley, a much better tackle from Tiny Solomon at that time. Bramley looking for a route. I always think it's one of the smartest little grounds in the country. Kicking into a wide open spaces. Finds a good touch. About 3 yards outside of the Oldham 20-yard line. I see people grounding the ball on the wrong line. The amount of lines that there are going into the 20-yard area. There's the penalty area, the 10-yard area. Scrum goes down, Oldham head and ball. Steve Kerry feeds. Hugh Gums in off the wing. Kerry directing operations at first man, but it's to be Tapia. Just about to the gain line before he's taken by Rain. Stevenson. Shields. Penalty to Oldham for offside. Steve Kerry to take. To this near side, this stand side. Finds touch, just over 10 yards. Or should we really be talking in metres? David Stevenson Checks he's got the right spot for the penalty. Just like a ball to play it with, please, sir. You can't have everything in this world. Finally, Stuart Cocker finds one. Stevenson to Shields. Shields taken by his opposite number, Whitehead. Stevenson waits, attacking halfback, plays it quickly. Kerry to Solomona. Solomona. Scrum half Carroll gets hands on first. Plays it quickly. Sherratt on the dummy run. To Russell. Russell to Gibson. Gibson to Cocker. Cocker comes inside. Spins away from a few. Links back to Tapia. To Kerry. Kerry to Sherratt. Good play from Stuart Cocker. Sherratt on with it quickly. Stevenson making a lot of yards. Still making 1 or 2 inches. Tapia attacks in halfback to Kerry. Kerry hoisting one. Probably. Well, I'll shut up. Stevenson. That's 5th. Cocker playing this strange wing role like he played at Rochdale. Kerry putting Oldham on the points. Just under 4 minutes played. Oldham going to a 1-0 lead. Of course, last week at Rochdale it was a drop goal from Steve Kerry, which finally separated the teams. Norman Francis on this wing for Bramley. Of course, had some time at Oldham. Got a cult following on the A-team. Kerry plucks it out of the air. Then gives it Mark Shields to have a go with. Stands for a long time. Links to Gums. Gums got Rapati outside him. And Charlie Tidball says it's forward. The crowd dead opposite on the far side. Not impressed with that decision. Fine break from link from Mark Shields. Hugh Gums. The free keeps the scrums apart. Or tries to. Bramley head and ball on halfway. Riddlesden bouncing across the face. Gibson. Good tackle from Gibson. Well played by Gibson. Pushed Riddlesden that way and then took himself at its centre. Freeman. Marson. Very flat. Change of direction. Offload. Cocker. Another good tackle by Gibson on his opposite number. Bramley quickly on with it. Referee Tidball penalises Russell for offside on the edge of a penalty area. One would presume that somebody will kick it goal. In fact, it looks like it's going to be Steve Carroll. Most of the Bramley kicking this year been done by Dean Creaser, but he's out injured. He's could be out, I believe, for as much as 3 months. So dead in front. Round about 12 yards out. So the goal from Carroll after just short of 7 minutes puts Bramley into a 2-1 lead. Not sure whether Wally Gibson's checking his wrist or tiny shorts. Gibson now an Oldham player, but for a reputed fee of only 12,000 from Huddersfield, which must be some wonderful bargaining on Mr. Tunks' time as usual, part as usual. Steve Kerry. Well, if it was intentional, it was interesting. The referee says that was high. Twig for touch. 7 or 8 yards. Quickly on with it. Through Whitehead. Bramley. Scored 101 points in the 6 games. Led 84 in. Ian Sherratt showing his turn of pace, which is merited in this second row spot, or is it his youthful good looks? Carroll changing direction. And that's a try for Kevin Bell. Looks. Carroll changing direction. And that's a try for Kevin Bell. Bell, joint leading try scorer for Bramley this season. On a pass which certainly looked forward. Are we on for one of those days? So, just over 8 minutes gone. Bramley take a 6 points to 1 lead. Fine run from Bell. Carroll with a goal attempt. Goes past the right hand post. So Oldham, about 9 minutes gone, 6 points to 1 down. And had very little ball so far. With Kerry to restart, he's kicked them all leftish so far. No doubt will continue to do so. High out towards the left hand corner. Riddlesden readjusts, takes. Solomona to Pyre on the tackle. Another good tackle from Sherratt. Bramley go cross field. And Sherratt again. Stevenson gets back ball side. Play action from Blankley. Acting half. And that's 5th. Stuart Cock has dropped. Hugh Gums has dropped a long way. Steve Kerry in a bobbing position. Either a party half dropping. That's 1 for Sean Tyre. Out of the sun, takes well. Takes it up to halfway. The party to acting half back. To Kerry. Gums. It's Oldham forward, still coming back. Stevenson organises. Shields changes pace about 3 times. Treatment or similar coming on for Sean Tyre. Bramley penalised for offside on this narrow side. Mark Meadows leaves the ball for Steve Kerry to decide what he's doing. Going to go for touch by the look of things. Could be high. Looks about 7 or 8 yards from the Bramley line. Well, there's a ball on the pitch, but nobody's seen it. Solomona. Kerry waits. Here's Russell. Russell to Gibson. Gibson, a lot of traffic. Gaps both ways. Stevenson. Shields to Tyra. Tyra to Sherratt. Sherratt battles and Sherratt's in. About 12 minutes gone. Oldham's first try comes from number 11, revitalised. Second row, Ian Sherratt. David Stevenson wants some clean shorts. Richard Russell receiving instructions as Stevenson entertains the crowd. Steve Kerry, who so far would say in his time at Oldham the most disappointing aspect of his players has been his goal kicking. This one looks to be somewhere around 10 yards from the touchline. Crowd goes respectively quiet. And that one's good. And puts Oldham into a 7 points to 6 lead. Must be a small pitch. I can see the numbers on the other side without my glasses. Carroll kicks off. Gums comes halfway, then takes on the bounce. Bounces off one, but then taken by Rain. Mark Meadows. Meadows dummies to Gums. Shields. Tiny Solomona into the Bramley half. Solomona penalised for kicking out in the tackle. He'd have thought he'd already taken a headshot. Bramley, couple of yards outside the Oldham 20-yard line. Blankney with the tap to Whitehead. Only wait. Carroll offers one, gives it the second. Good tackle from Solomona. You'd have thought that was similar. Storming Norman. Coming off his wing. Then drops the ball. Well, I think we've not only got a blind ref, we've got a blind touch judge. Can't blame the referee for that one. Carroll kicked one goal so far. Been playing 16 minutes. Right-footed, and that pushes Bramley back into the lead by 8 points to 7. Oldham penalised round about halfway for Tiny Solomona kicking out in the tackle, and then penalised perhaps a little unfairly when Norman Francis dropped the ball. Steve Kerry has the ball fall over more often at place kicks than Tommy Martin does at goal kicks. Again down towards Riddlesden, who finally gets it, and he gets to Pyer and Meadows. Richard Russell pulls people a bit right. Shields and Meadows in on the tackle. Solomona, Sherratt and Meadows. From acting halfback, tries to go through there. Mark Meadows having none of that. Kick coming in, Gums drops. Leaves it alone. Tyra takes. That's a reasonable 10 yards. Tyra just about to the 20-yard line. Stevenson on the clean-up run. Russell to Kerry, inside to Tapia. Tapia to Meadows. Meadows offers it. Shields spins. Russell. Ian Sherratt. And that one certainly is a head tackle. And Stevenson gets hurt in the middle of that as well. Steve Kerry. Still about 10 yards in the Oldham half. I don't think you're not going to take a quick second penalty. Solomona to the halfway line. Shields checks. It ends up in Bramley hands through Carroll, who's put down by David Stevenson. Marson. Whitehead. Change of direction. To Rain. Leaves the ball behind and Mark Meadows readjusts first to pick it up. Solomona. Rapati spots a half gap at, Gibson spots a half gap at acting half. Shields done a lot of the driving in these first 20 minutes or so. Kerry to Rapati, out to Tyra. Tyra opts to go inside, then links well to Stevenson. Stevenson to Kerry. Kerry over the top to Cocker, who waits for it. I would have said leaves it behind, but I bet referee Tidball says it's a knock on.
Immediately. Registration numbers 169KKB and Q74BTB.
22 minutes gone. Bramley 8, Oldham 7. Scrum to go down on Bramley head and ball. Francis comes infield, taken by Tapia, and finally finished by Russell and by Meadows. Lyons goes crossfield. Marson. There's a gap there, but Russell. Bramley got, looking as though we got men over, but Shields pulls off a tackle on fullback Cohen. Carroll puts boot to ball again to drive Oldham back. Tyra plays soccer with it. Quickly on, Stevenson links back well to Kerry. Kerry to Gums. Gums, dummies outside. Goes inside, where he's wrapped up quite quickly and heavily. Russell, nowhere to go there. Going left through Meadows. Meadows to Rapati. Rapati offers it one way. And ends up keeping him. That's fifth. Kerry to put boot to ball. Puts it behind Riddlesden. Gets it down in time. Scrum down. Bramley head and ball. Been playing about 23 minutes. Good old-fashioned collapsed scrum. I presume it's Bramley's ball where Tidball's going to. Slack tackling, but Riddlesden taken by Russell. Bramley coming left quickly. Sonny Wakaru to Freeman. Francis stacked in half-back. It's gone back. Keeping the ball alive. Cohen into Sherratt and Meadows. Carroll. Long pass. Which finally gets knocked on. Riddlesden thought he got away with a clear up. Alton and Bradbury for Oldham on a run to keep warm or to wake somebody up on the field. No chance to get into the sun, I suppose, if they're doing the full lap. Kerry to feed the scrum. Russell. Gibson. On the angle change. But Bramley too close. Kerry to Tapia. Bramley up very, very quickly. Shields. He's only got one option out here, and that's it. Stuart Cocker comes inside Norman Francis, but taken by Sonny Wakaru. Kerry. Russell. Tiny Solomon and the crowd from Bramley down there tell us that was forward. Wally Gibson. Makes yards from acting half-back, and that's fifth. Kerry position for the drop, but it goes to Shields. Shields. I don't think Hugh Gumps is that tall. Hand over. 25 minutes gone. 8-7 in Bramley's favour. Mark Shields thinking Hugh Gumps is a basketball player. Yards from acting half-back. Oldham Schools under 16s went out of the English Cup yesterday due to tries from acting half-back by the opposing hooker, one of the Cunningham clan of St Helens. We know all about it, just can't do anything about it. That looks similar then. David Bradbury doing a lot of stretching exercises. Wakaru well taken by Gibson. Kick coming in. That's tells you how firm the pitch is. Tyra out of the first one. Links back well to Stevenson. Tiny Solomona gets to acting half-back. And we've had a penalty for offside. I think you could have had a penalty. You could have had a penalty round play the ball for him dragging him down, I suppose. Kerry and Russell have a discussion, and he's going for goalie, Steve Kerry. David Bradbury still stretching around by the Oldham bench. Paul Jones on sand action. Steve Kerry certainly don't rush his kicks. 27 and a bit played. Kerry, right-footed. Oldham 8-7 down. Still 8-7 down. As the ball goes dead, so at least Oldham get the ball back from the dropout. Twig this ex-Canberra Raiders standoff who Bramley have. Wally Gibson looks what's on, and really there's not a lot. Ian Sherratt, it's a strange place to find a big second row. David Stevens says, get up. Kerry to Shields again. Shields spins out to one. Carries the ball up strongly as ever. Kerry to Russell. Russell checks. Sees the umbrella closing in on the party. Stevenson knocks on, attacking halfback. I think the percentage error rate is quite high in this first half. Ball slowly out of the scrum, Oldham offside. Freeman taken low down by Gibson, knocked down by Russell. As Meadows arrives to help. Lyons, well taken. Russell doing a lot of talking to his defensive line. Marson. Penalises Mark Meadows for high tackle. And stops the clock. They're just short of 30 minutes played. Twig to put the ball to touch on the far side. Just short or on the 20-yard line. Oldham push back again. Hooker Dean Blankley. Drops Whitehead off. Oldham coming up quickly on the outside. Marson comes back through the inside. Blankley. Stuart Cocker's the one who ends up with it. Good reactions from Cocker. Gibson from acting halfback is no option but to go into the defensive line. One gets the feeling this touch judge on this side has something against Oldham. That's two iffy decisions. Well, two iffy decisions around Wally Gibson. Gives referee Tidball no option but to give a penalty. Chance for Steve Carroll to push Bramley 3 points clear. Which he does. About 31 and a bit minutes on the clock. Bramley go into a 3-point lead. Oldham being penalised when in possession, the worst time to be so. This is obviously determined that Eddie Riddleston will knock one on eventually down there. Buckaroo. Russell takes the legs, Snap tendon or whatever in his fingers. Lyons to Freeman. Freeman taken. Gibson, Solomona and Shields. Kick coming in from Carroll. Tyra unfortunately slips. Carry it, acting half. Gums ready to do the running. Stevenson gets it back again. For once, referee Tidball's right. Mark Meadows cleans up. Newcombs was on his way back to his wing. Rapati inside, going across the face. Forced to take the tackle. Russell. Ian Sherratt. Stevenson just unable to get with him. Plays it to himself. Well, it's got to be a penalty one way or the other, that had, surely. This is fifth. Russell. Hoist for the post. And says Rapati's offside, which I would doubt very strongly. Most referees can't follow anybody on a kick. I take the easy way out both ways usually and give penalties. Remember Paul Lord. This one goes into touch just outside the 20-yard line, which I reckon looking at these are at 25. That's how probably most of them in the country these days. Blankley with the tap. To Whitehead. Bramley 3 points in front. About 5 minutes to half time plus injuries or whatever. Wackaroo. Lyon stands as pivot. Goes himself. And then looks for a link, but it's too late for him. Blankley. Twigs chips. Russell spots it and gets the bounce. Taken by a pursuing Twig. Sounds wrong. Rapati to Kerry, to Hugh Gums. The Oldham crowd wanting it swung about. So we go back inside. Meadows to halfway. No substitutions. This is different. Mark Shields strongly up. Kerry to Sherratt. Sherratt winds up, goes through one. Stands. I think the referee's give a knock on both ways. Well, I hope he's given a knock on both ways. And if he hasn't, somebody will be upset. Oh, I give up now. Now I give up. Russell. Rapati with a little bit of room to move. To Tyra. Tyra wrapped up. Tapia just got out of the way of it. Kerry going to get tackled for once. Going to have to launder his shirt after all. I think there's strong words coming out from the bench. 31 and a bit gone. David Stevenson, I think it is, who's being told something about going, I think, from acting halfback. At least John Watkins throws a bit of water about while he's talking. Not the best of kicks, but it's in touch. And that could be it. Oh, we have found another one. Stevenson to take the tap. Kerry. Cocker. Kerry takes a bad pass well. But no time to do anything. Stevenson to Russell. Russell goes across for face. Rapati taken by 3. Solomona. Well tackled by Marson. Twice. Kerry again. Oldham got a lot of people in this line if they're going to use them. Shields. Back to Sherratt. Sherratt tried to go through the fullback. And the fullback was having none. Tyra. And Tyra's in. Good play from Sean Tyra after a great run from Ian Sherratt. Sherratt used that well-known change of pace and tried to go through the fullback. Fullback stood his ground and put him down. Quick play of the ball. Out to Tyra. Tyra half dummied out to Stuart Cocker. But finally went in at full stretch after 38 minutes of his first half to put Oldham back into an 11 points to 10 lead. Shane Tapia having a deep conversation with Eric Fitzsimons. Half time approaching. Oldham not had that much of a ball, and what they have, they've tended to give away as presents on early tackles. This, if he was to kick it to add 8 yards from touch, would be a very good kick from Steve Kerry. He waits. And it is a very good kick. And Oldham go into a 13-10 lead. About a minute to half time plus stoppage time. Oldham leading Bramley by 13 points to 10. You would think if the clocks are right, it doesn't mean that too much stoppage. 5 drives and a kick. Should take Oldham to somewhere very near to half time. Wally Gibson plays it with his foot to Mark Shields. Now to Mark Shields. Running done this afternoon's pretty high. Ian Sherratt scored 1. Set up the position for the second. Stevenson tries to clear a route. Kerry to Mark Meadows. Well tackled. Just short of the gain line. Shane Tapia. And there indeed is the hooter. Oldham leading 13 points to 10. 2 tries to 1. Oldham's tries coming from Sherratt and then Sean Tyra after an Ian Sherratt run. Just 1 try to Bramley. Oldham 13, Bramley 10. Second half about to start. Oldham 13-10 to the good. And away we go, Oldham getting first use. Kick off to Steve Kerry. Ben Olsen on. Olsen getting protective bandage around the stud damage he got on his thigh last week at Rochdale. And in about a week's time they'll work out who's gone off. Solomona. Kick coming in early from Kerry, and what a kick. Cohen loses it in the sun. Forced to take over the try line. Good chase, mainly from Gibson and Stevenson. Mark Meadows is the player off. Oldham. Bramley very nearly passing to Shields then. Wackaroo to the 20-yard line, that's 5th. Rums back, Cocker back. Chip through, that'll be Kerry's. Feeds Gums. Gets away from one, but then waits for Blankley. And he's deciding which way to take the prop for a party. Pushed back in the tackle. Olsen going straight. Kerry to Russell. Rapati. Rapati goes to the outside twice. Bell sticks with him. Kerry dummies to one, gives it to Solomona. Gives it to Shears, but it goes forward as Tyra picks up. So it'll be a scrum down. Bramley, Adam Ball. Scrum went down, ball came into fast for referee. Twig taken by Russell. Olsen in on the tackle. Tapire on the chase. Marson. Lyons on the dummy. To Rain. Taken by Sherratt. Wakaru goes for the break. Oh, but Rapati. Cohen unable to take it on fifth. That's a handover. Sherratt wants to get on with it quickly, which he does. Solomona spills a pass from Tapire. Tapire playing at 13 now. And could perhaps have penalised Lyons for not. As he ranks to Rain, to Twig. Twig to Freeman. Freeman. Fine tackle from Gibson. Good break. Good rugby from Bramley. Rain. Wakaru. Taken by Rapati to Cohen. To Riddlesden. Riddlesden. Not going to get that one out of there. Lyons for the line. Taken by Olsen. Tyra cleans up. Solomona to Tapire. Tapire offers it, but isn't really taking it. Oldham's top tackles first half. Solomona and Meadows with 18 apiece. Tapire with 15. And Ian Sherratt enjoying himself in the second row with 13. Mark Shields still ploughing forward. Event to Rapati. Rapati. Rapati takes Cohen on the outside, only half tackled. Riddlesden misses him. Cohen, but he's inside to Hugh Gums. Fine work from Eva Rapati. After a storming run from Mark Shields. Well, like Rapati was going all the way. Tapped by fullback Cohen. Not held, got up, went again. Just as Cohen and Riddlesden were perhaps taking him again, get the ball inside to Hugh Gums. To push Oldham into a 17-10 lead. 6 minutes into the second half. And that's really what Oldham couldn't do last year, was score from all over the field. So much pace in Oldham's backs. And Scott Ranson's not that far off coming back either. Ian McCorkadale now down talking to John Watkins. Interesting watching the Rugby Union International. I see they're following Oldham under-16's lead and kicking off of plastic tees. Steve Kerry kicks another one. His third goal of the half to push of the game to push Oldham 9 points clear. 19 points to 10. About 7 minutes played of his second half. No one for Kerry. And he'll give it Olsen. Olsen. Sherritt winds up, but he's too early, surely, with that run. Now he slips. Stevenson takes it himself. And twists and turns for a couple of 3 yards than you'd expect. Solomona. Kick coming in from Kerry early. Cohen being pulled to his left, takes this one competently. Gibson leads the charge. Opens out. To Bell. Bounces Kerry off. Ball goes forward. Stevenson gets there to pull the tackle off. Opens out. To Bell. Bounces Kerry off. Ball goes forward. Stevenson gets there to pull the tackle off. On Bell. Stevenson, who's hurt. Riddleston, whose hairstyles these days aren't quite as extravagant as they used to be. Once featured in Open Rugby as haircut of the month. Or was it really of the year? Oldham win it twice. And that was nearly a voluntary tackle from Kerry. Tapia attaching half. Finds Hugh Gums. Hugh Gums. Well, he's penalised for high. Well, compared to some, I wouldn't have thought it was. Kerry to find touch. Fifteen or so yards. Stevenson to take the tap. Tiny Solomona winds up. That's referee Tidwell protects wingers. Shields back to Kerry. Russell picks out Rapati to Gibson to Stuart Cock, who's up tip coming in field. Russell. Seems to be a certain amount of drops. The error percentage in the first half for Oldham was about 36 and a bit. Solomona carrying on the tackle. Wakaru into Olsen and Stevenson. Lyons gets the ball away to Marson. Marson tackled well by Stevenson. Strange that Stevenson not on the first top tackles in the first half for a change. Carroll. Right tackle given against the party. Not sure whether he was giving it till the crowd put the U up. Twig puts the ball to touch. Blankley sorts out what's happening. Gives it Whitehead. Down by Shields and Solomona. Very slow play the ball. Rain. Tapia gets hands on and keeps hands on. Carroll. Marson on a change of direction. He went backwards a long way. Coming right with Carroll. To Twig. Francis through the middle. Francis very nearly in. To Twig. Francis through the middle. Francis very nearly in. Stevenson being sin-binned for holding down. So Oldham going to play the next 10 minutes. Up to about the 22nd. With 12 men. It's Carroll brings Bramley to within 7 points at 19-12. With 28 minutes to play. Eva Party's obviously been and visited St Helens to get his side padded cycling shorts, because that's where they seem to be at the moment in England. Kerry restarts. Blackaroo takes into Olsen. Whitehead. Lyons giving a pass blank he would probably appreciate, then goes to ground himself at Olsen's feet. It's fourth. Twig, long pass to Bell, but easily wrapped up by Rapati. That's fifth. Twig to kick. Crossfield. Sean Tyra takes his time. Stands up in the tackle a long time. Cocker from acting half. Gibson going to do similar. Cocker looked to have a marker to me then, but my eyes are terrible. Kerry. Solomona stands up in the tackle. Doesn't find a route out with the ball, but he thought he had. There will be a team meeting as to what's going off. Knock on given by the touch juice down here. Oldham head and ball. Richard Russell. Ben Olsen got into number 9. Oldham taking Russell off.
What the hell's going on?
Or thinking about taking Russell off. Kerry forced to fall on it.
Did you understand that?
Russell. David Bradbury comes out of the dugout. And Gibson goes from acting half-back. Russell gets there. To Kerry. To Shields. Shields goes for the bust again. Nearly makes the 20-yard line. Rapati to Solomona. The big Western Samoan takes it in as Tapia gets to acting half. I think that could be 5th, referee Tidball signalling. Certainly looks like it. Too far for Gibson and company to go after that. Riddleston. Well, that's got to be head tackle. Last year that would have been considered perfectly acceptable, I think. Richard Russell. And we're not quite sure why the officials won't let the substitution take place. Interesting to see how Oldham readjust when Russell comes off and Bradbury goes on. Big discussion going on with the fourth official down below. Francis caught the ball more than he used to at Oldham. He was trying to lean into people who weren't there. Twig bounces off a lot of Oldham players on fifth, and it's Olsen who finally puts him down. Kick coming in from Carroll. Cocker takes. And tackled on the 20-yard line. Bramley get that ball side. Shields. Ian Sherratt. Out 18 minutes of his second half over. Russell holds back for Olsen. Olsen. Kick coming in from Steve Kerry, no pressure. Hoist for the right, Oldham right wing. And finds a fine touch. Oldham going to try and get David Bradbury on again. And 5 minutes or so after Oldham wanted it, David Bradbury gets on. And then the stupidity of making him wait. Richard Russell off. Let's see where we're going. Bradbury's been put in the centre for now. Francis. It's away from Tapia. The Shields will get out to do most of the stopping. Ian Sherratt drags the Bramley player down. Whitehead it is. Lions dummies. But again it's Sherratt. Well, he's took it once, ref, so that's the scrum down. Twig puts the ball to touch about 5 yards still. In the Bramley half, Bramley 7 points down. Oldham scored 3 tries to 1. Oldham wait, Oldham 12. About another 3 minutes before they can go back to 13. It'll be interesting to see who comes back out, whether it'll be Stevenson or Russell coming back out. Whitehead well taken, well met by Olsen. Carroll to Wakaru. Tapia gets it slightly wrong. Got men over. I think Cocker might be playing centre and Bradbury wing at the moment. Francis comes in field with a typical run. Typical strong run at the defence. Twig, Carroll to Lyons. Lyons puts Bell into a gap. Twig, Carroll to Lyons. Lyons puts Bell into a gap. Sorry about blocking the view just then. Referee gives the try. Oh, the touch judge gives a try. It's all a matter of timing. Bell scores his second try of the match for Bramley. Roll them down at 12 men, 21 minutes gone. And it's starting to get a bit chilly. Carroll from the touchline. It's wrist pass for left-hand post. But Bramley now within 3 points. And Maurice Bamford comes for a word with somebody. He's going to substitute Chris Whitehead. Well, he's going to try and substitute Chris Whitehead. See if he has as much joy as... Steve Edmondson and David Stevenson spinning over. Kerry restarts. Down to Rain. Marson. Carroll. Dummies. Into Sherratt, if anything. Lyons. Rain. Rain goes to the bust. Taken by Olsen. With a bit of help from Gibson. Going open. Or is he? Wackaroo instead comes inside. Taken by Gibson. Kick coming in on last tackle from Twig. Taken by Hugh Gums. Gums. Breaks free once. That's surely the best run he's done for Oldham since he's been here. Tiny Solomona goes to the outside. Swung down, round and down by Freeman. Plays it quickly. Kerry leaves the poor pass for Gibson. Gibson to Olsen. Olsen will take it in. Taken by Lyons and Wackaroo. Shields coming yet again. Good tackle by Kevin Rain. Sherratt's turn. Into a waiting reception committee on 5th. Kick coming in of some description from Kerry. I think Gibson's offside and everybody else is on. Cohen, under no pressure, takes quite easily. Put down. Still in his 20-yard area. Marson. Edmondson. Into Gibson. Who surely needs help and finally gets it. Lyons. Somehow finds Riddleson. Cocker comes in field. And between him and Solomona. Put Marson down. Yards from acting halfback. That's 5th. As Olsen unwinds. Kick coming in from Twig. Pursued by Stevenson. Another one for Hugh Gums. Battling his way forward. Stevenson. Wondered why everybody had stopped, as did I. Referee Tidball chooses this moment to penalise Bramley for offside. About 16 minutes left to play. Oldham 19, Bramley 16. Steve Kerry puts the ball to touch on the far side. Just short of a 20-yard line. And I think you might be playing with this ball, lads. See what Hugh kicks like. Yeah, very accurately. I think this shows you why you need ball boys nowadays. Some of the game seems very slow. Solomona into Rain. Edmondson not letting him get up. Cohen and Carroll not impressed. Well, I'm sure Steve Kerry will kick at goal at this point. Bramley about to make another substitution. But about to bring Bramley about to bring Marson off. I think so. It's Hester who's on and Edmonton who's coming on now. Kicks his 4th goal of the game. Change of plan down on the discussion between Derek Fitzsimons and Maurice Bamford. That's interesting. He's probably deciding who's going to sub. 27 minutes gone. Oldham 21. Bramley 14. Never could read. I lost 2 points somewhere. Forgot me. 16. Yeah, you don't get 2 points for a try now, do you? You get 4. David Bradbury. Oldham 5 points clear. Ian Sherratt gets away from Wackaroo, but finds Rain waiting in front of him. Mark Shields. Ben Olsen to Rapati. Oh, if that was a dead tackle, I'm not going bold. Stevenson puts him in the recovery position straight away. Maurice Bamford wants Norman Francis off. Was either injured or ignoring people. Fine pass from Hugh Gums. Gets David Stevenson into the 20-yard area. Last tackle. Kerry goes for a drop. It's not going to get there and goes dead. So it'll be a tap 20-yard. Bamford forlornly holds a number 5 up. Carroll links to Twig. Twig to Edmonds. To Hester. Or is it Edmondson? To Hester. Norman Francis limping forlornly off on his own. Edmondson. Carroll. Well, that was a slow motion move that nobody else knew about, I think, looking at that one. Kick coming in from Cohen. Well, that'll be interesting. Steve Kerry attacks and takes the ball well. Little man gets up incredibly well. Stevenson. Solomona to Kerry. Shields decides he's done enough running for a little while. Rapati into a gap. Ben Olsen can't take it. Look for a moment as Oldham are away. Must have been the shock of getting into the sun. Lyons picks up at the base of the scrum. Wackaroo now playing in the centre. Edmondson. Rain into Tapia. Whitehead. Long again, Marson. Bramley crowd seem to be getting panic-stricken about on and offside. Freeman back to Wakaru. Wakaru, nobody to pass to, taken by Stevenson. Last tackle, Twig. Ball flying about from Bramley. Rapati waits. Takes well and he's tackled by Kevin Bell. Gets up slowly. Gums. Just taken from Edmondson. Kerry. And again, referee Tidwell penalises Bramley for being offside on first tackle. Steve Kerry, Wally Gibson have a talk. And surely he's got to go to touch. We must be discussing where it's going after touch. Newcomb's on ball chasing duty. David Stevenson to tap. I think he'll just give it to Ian Sherratt. He's highly complicated. That'll be a penalty for a high tackle. These highly complicated tap penalties that confuse the opposition. Now what's Kerry doing? Going for goal on this one. Paul Jones comes on with the sand. On my reckoning, we're at about 32 minutes. Kerry attempting to push Oldham 7 points clear. As the shadows lengthen here at McLaren Field. Aren't they selling this for a shopping complex at one bit? The gates are open and nobody's flocking in to see the last bit free. I can't see many making their way to the exits, really. Kerry, if that is a 20-yard line, about a 20-metre line, about 23 metres out from the line on the angle. That's another 4 or 5. Perhaps he's found his kicking boots. Kicks his 5th goal of the game. No, he doesn't. His 4th goal of the game. Put Oldham into a 23-16 lead. Fifth goal, you're right. First time. Perhaps I'm match for refereeing. Confused. Kicking off to David Bradbury. Takes his time. Well, penalty for another high tackle, or penalised as a high tackle, I should perhaps say. That one to me looked like to be an old body enhancing one. It's interesting, there's obviously a distrust of people at Bramley, the way the balls are all kept on one side. Stevenson to Shields. Interesting to look at Shields' yardage afterwards because it must be something pretty big. Bradbury in off his wing. Quickly wrapped up by a lot of Bramley players. Tapia to Solomona. Back to Stevenson. Solomona attacks in half-back, will feed Shields yet again. Shields. Good 10-yard run from Shields. Stevenson. Dummies once to Solomona. That's 5th. Gibson. Kerry. Kerry going to hoist one. Sherratt coming from a lot of different way. Cohen takes well. Riddleson pursued by Gibson. Avoids him. About 5 minutes to play on my reckoning. Oldham 7 points in front. Ball comes out in the tackle. Solomona to Rapati to Gums. Referee Tidwell must have the quietest whistle in the business. Gives that as a forward pass from Rapati to Gums. Gibson receiving treatment. Referee Tidball stops the clock. Tommy Martin arriving down at the Oldham bench. Not sure where he's, unless he's on, could well be on message carrying duty from Peter Tunks, I suppose. Not sure where Peter is today. The front rows go down quite happily before referee Ashford for Riddlesden. Taken well by Rapati. Stevenson hurt. Rain. Good tackle from Ben Olsen. Lyons. Carroll. Well, I said it was a forward pass and then a high tackle. Take your pick. So he's ignored them both. Twig to Bell. Bell attempts to step to Pyer on 5th. Shane's having none of that. Twig kicking for the right hand touchline. Puts it behind Hugh Gums, who finally picks up. Taken by Twig and Bell. Tyra from acting halfback, taking some of the load off his forwards. Quickly plays it. Olsen. Sorry, Cocker. I was trying to work out what Cocker were doing there. Mark Shields. Stevenson to acting halfback. Solomona winding up one side. There he goes. That certainly is Olsen. Referee thinks about whistling but changes his mind. Last tackle. Kerry puts it over ahead but straight out, so it'll be a handover about 5 yards inside. Stevenson marks the spot and asks for a second marker, which he gets. Rain into Olsen and down by Olsen. Edmondson. High tackle penalised against Shields. Treatment call for Edmondson as Cohen puts the ball to touch. Riddlesden looks for a ball and blankly gets it. Edmondson into Shields again. Have a hold of the Oldham road, front row, drag him down. Carroll. Wackaroo to Bell. Bell out to Freeman. Oldham come up with the ball. With on my clock about 1 minute and 3/4 to play. Stuart Cocker. Well, this should be interesting. He'll let Hugh Gums do the running. Oh, that is unbelievable. I think referee Tidball ought to have an eye test. There was one in the first half, Gums to Rapati, which he gave us forward. And that, after a fine break from Cocker. I'm pretty sure that pass went from one side of the white line to the other going backwards. This is the referee who can run marathons. 40 minutes up on my watch. Lyons. Blankley takes the wrong option. It had to go out at this stage of the game to stand any chance. Marson still taking it in. Carroll to Twig. Twig gets away from Shields. Lyons giving Bell the run. Carroll to Twig. Twig gets away from Shields. Lyons giving Bell the run. Just taken by Tyra. And Rapati. Riddlesden. Cohen. Blankley. Carroll. Got men over out here. Wackaroo. And Freeman. When he'd been well brought inside by Sonny, Wackaroo drops the ball. Referee Tidball sees that. Oldham surely prevented from scoring a try in each half by poor refereeing decisions on what's a forward pass or not. David Bradbury. .41 and a bit gone. Ben Olsen. Mark Shields. Breaks through, still going Mark Shields. And Oldham have... Well, the referee wants a penalty. So surely it's got to be touch and then a big hoist for the posts. Or is there any need really? Or is he just going to tap it and take a tackle? That's surely the safest way. Yeah, you can have the tackle. That's full time. Oldham winning 23 points to 16. Surely would have been a bigger win, but for some strange refereeing of forward passes and so on. Oldham 3 tries, Bramley 2. Winning margin of 7. And Oldham come up with 6 wins out of the first 7 games. So definitely being at least second place tonight. Final score at McLaren Field, Oldham 23, Bramley 16. Next week a week off. Charlie Tidball being booed off by both sets of supporters, which isn't really surprising.